Hey, welcome to Forest County, Pennsylvania and the Forest County Outback channel, where we combine history with the outdoors. Although today we're going to be a little light on the outdoors. We're going to look at an 1850s era building and talk historic preservation. Hey, today we're in Tionesta, and we're going to document this building behind us that was built in 1854 by 1857 by Sam Hazlett. It's in the process of being torn down, and we're going to explain why. And this is Forest County Outback 33, Disappearing History. Now, people get very upset when an old building is being torn down. I do myself, and the first reaction you hear is, oh, someone should save it, it needs to be preserved. And you know, that's an easy thing to say. It's a lot harder to get your checkbook and step up. Now, this building it sat empty, it was neglected for several years. Had someone done basic maintenance on it, it could have been saved and it could have been restored, but the water damage is too far gone. And I've talked to the owner, and we've kicked a few figures around, and we came up with a estimate of between $200,000 and $250,000, and that is just to stabilize the building. That doesn't even begin to address the redoing the interior and other cosmetic issues. And it's as we go around, we'll show you, it's just, the whole thing is just, it's too far gone to do anything with. So what the guy's doing is a salvage, and you know, he's saving as many fixtures and that as he can. Now, myself, the set of doors here are really cool. I've got dibs on those. We want to use those in our new house. As you can see, we're in a high traffic area. Now, Sam Hazlett came to Tionesta in the 1850s, and he started a furniture business in a house that sat behind here. It's no longer there. He worked out of the basement, and eventually he leased the upstairs. They let him out of the basement. That was nice. And his business grew. Eventually he went across the street to building over there, and I'm not sure if that is the same building over there today or not, but in 1857 he built this building, and it was quite small. It was a single story, at least that's what it was recorded as, a single story. Actually, it was a story and a half, and we'll show you that when we get upstairs. And the back wall of the building, it came from the front where this post is, here it is now. That was the extent of the building. It was very small, and in 1881, his sons were in business with him. They were selling furniture, and I believe it might have been used as a funeral home also at that time. They added a full second story on, they added an addition, and they added the back portion of this building. And you can actually see the original portion of the building. This floor is nice and solid and level. And here, where the back wall is, the floor drops off. The whole back of this building is settled. And anyhow, eventually what the Hazlets did is they leased the building across the street, and in this photo, that's the building on the left. It was called the Partridge Building because they were the building's owners. The Hazlets leased the downstairs and used that as a funeral parlor. The upstairs was the Oddfellows Hall. But in this building, they sold furniture, caskets, and headstones. And I'm not going to get into all the different Hazlet relations who came and went with the business. It's extremely complicated. They ran that business up until the 1940 or so. Then I don't know whether they sold or leased the buildings to a guy named, or a couple. Okay, in 1941, they sold this building, or they leased it, I'm not sure which one, to Ethel and Howard Brown, and they had an antique shop here. And they operated that till 1960s, when the Pringle family took it over, and they had an upholstery shop in here, and they operated that, I'm not sure, I think maybe till around 1980 or something like that. I'm not sure. And then it was sold to a guy named, in 1988, it was sold to a guy named David Bear, and he did all the remodeling in here, and this was he turned it into a gift antique shop called the Old Curiosity Shop. I'm not sure when he gave the business up, but then it sat empty ever since then. And as I said, with the lack of maintenance, it deteriorated, and to the point where it's beyond hope now. Is that on?
Yeah.
Okay, recording?
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'm going to show you a Sanborn fire map from 1891. Now, the Sanborn maps were used by insurance companies to calculate their liability in urban areas, and they show a lot of detail. They're great for researching, and as you look on the map, you'll see that this building, the second story, has a cigar factory. So there was a cigar maker up there in 1891. And there was an addition on the building. We'll look at that. It's not there now. We'll walk around outside, we'll take a look at that. So in this, inside here, one of the things I want to point out are these lights. Now obviously these electric lights they're not original, but they are institutional. They were sold for funeral homes and schools back in the 20s and 30s, and the high school I went to in the 1970s still had these lights there. So yeah, I look at them and I'm having flashbacks. I didn't like high school very much. Work your way over here. Okay, the reason that I think this was a story-and-a-half building is you look at this beam here, and where this window is cut out, I mean, the beam was cut. There was no, if they had a full window in here, there would have been a support under this beam. So I think that this was the header. They had just like a half wall here. And that would make sense because at that time the upstairs would have been used for sleeping. At that time you were working. You didn't lounge around in your bedroom. Bedrooms were very basic. It was probably just, they had a bunch of beds like a dormitory. You didn't have privacy either. So it was just used for sleeping, and that was it. So they didn't need a whole, you know, they were saving lumber here. It was probably very stuffy though in the summertime. But as you can see, you had this beam here, and then look at the difference in the wood here. This was an earlier build, and then up here, and they got some wide boards, but nothing like below that. So I think when they did the 1881, they weren't adding a full story; they were adding a half story to make it into a full story. And the building at that time, we think they added on to the back here. And the reason why is on this upright here, there's a notch, okay, for a tendon. There's an identical one on the other side of the room. Okay, one of the other things you notice is on these, they had wooden beams, so these were they're mortise and tendon joints here. They're not wooden beams, but wooden pegs. You really see them right here. So what they did, they were basically building this like a barn with the large beams to form the framework, and then they just added wood onto it. And what you'll see here is you've got siding on the outside and this siding on the inside, and there's no insulation. There's just an air space in there. And then up here you can see where they had lath and plaster. That's interesting. This is they use some extra leftover floorboards because these are tongue and grooved. I mean, you know, you wouldn't necessarily put that up there unless you had something laying around it, you know. And they did try to level it out. You see they have some shims behind here. Let's take a look at this doorway here. Now there was an addition on the building here, and this door, see, this door was cut in at a later date, you see, because that stud up there is just hanging out in the air. It's not connected to the header, and you can see how that board around there is just, it was just they just hacked that thing out. So, and what we're going to do with this, as the building is deconstructed, we're going to come back and do other videos and look at some of the features in that went into the construction of this. Now, I don't believe that the floorboards here were original. They're too nice, really, to be that old. And you notice the 10-foot ceilings, back in those days, they didn't have air conditioning, so while you had a 10-foot ceiling, that was more space to heat in the winter, but it gave you more circulation during the summer. So we're going to walk around outside. We're going to look at some of the, show you some of the reasons that this building is beyond repair. Well, you'll see when we get out there. Okay, before we head downstairs, there's another thing we wanted to point out was look at the difference in the thickness on those rafters. Not only the thickness, but the widths. It's like they were using like whatever was available.
And comes the scary
so
part.
Art Deco, that bathroom. Go ahead, go first.
Now this is why this building is beyond repair. All the sills around here, the bottom of the building is like this the whole way around. And the roof leaked for several years. And then we had water coming down the hill off the road here, and there was no drainage to take the water away. So it just piled up here, and this is the result. You can see you had all this water coming down the German Hill Road here, and a lot of it was up against the building. The drainage work would have saved it. Now the house that Sam Hazlett got his start in sat right over in this area here. And that house was here at least until 1940. Not sure when it was torn down.
There's another house. There's
another house over there, and then there was surf. Did he tell you about they did a surf warrant on that place?
On what place?
Okay, so when you look in this photo, you see that addition to the left of the building, and you can also see it on the fire maps. And that was right here. That was in this area here. And it came down around the back of the building here. Yeah, so you can see how much effort it would take to do anything with this place. Okay, now we're gonna go down in the basement, and this is really cool. So this is the original, the basement of the original building, and just look at these blocks. That is just amazing. All right, check out these blocks right here. I mean, look how big, how long they are. This one and this one over here.
Hey, I heard something bang upstairs. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ghost. Yeah, rarely do you see cut blocks of this size. And this whole basement is, they're not all that big, but it's beautiful stone. And before somebody asks, how did they move these stones that big? Well,
Aliens.
yeah, aliens. How did they do the pyramids?
Aliens.
How did they do Machu Picchu?
Aliens.
Alien Bigfoot.
Bigfoot.
Alien Sasquatch, yeah. They had their ways.
That beam.
Yeah, we're not sure. We think that might have been under here. Like he had, we think it might have been a central beam here that he replaced.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure, but it's probably the ends of it's pretty well rotted, actually. Not there, but on the ends.
Yeah. Oh, that's a fan. Shame about that old trunk, huh?
Yeah, that's beyond hope too. All right.
It was neat how they have the hardware for the Belco doors right into the stone.
Okay, now this is the 1896 fire map, and you notice the feature in front of the building that's marked as a scale. That would have been right in here, and we really can't figure out why they had a scale here. I mean, if they were selling grain or something like that, they would have a need for a scale, but apparently there was a scale here. Why? We don't know. But it would have been right in this little triangle area here. Okay, that's it for Forest County Outback 33, Disappearing History. We will be back here over the winter as the building is deconstructed. We're gonna study how the building was put together in reverse. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and remember to, if you haven't joined our Facebook page, to do that. And thank you for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.